for Monday, June 26th, 2023, in the Space and Time Continuum. I'm not Matt McNeil. I'm Todd Mikkelson, sitting in for Matt, who's on vacation this entire week. He will be back on July the 5th. And I will be on today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we've got some guests lining up here and there for the show I'm excited about. At the moment, and I always say if things go as planned, because sometimes people are unable to do it at the last minute, but I have more confidence that they will be able to do it as scheduled because they are Minnesota legislators and the legislative session is over and it's summertime. Everyone's on vacation, it seems, but sometimes they are willing to take a little bit of time out of their vacation to call into AM 950. My old friend and the current Minnesota Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, is going to be calling in on Wednesday at 3. Looking very forward to that. And also Representative Jamie Long is tomorrow. I can't remember what time. I think 4. But so Jamie Long will be in, and I will be interviewing him. So, not usually we have a lot to talk about. The weekend was, I don't know, kind of uneventful. It did rain. We could talk about that for a little while.
Well, it was uneventful in the United States, not so much in other parts of the world.
Right. But apparently, Joe Biden. Which is it? Is it Joe Biden is losing his marbles and he's got he's got dementia, he's unable to do anything or have a coherent thought, or is he the one who staged a coup in Russia? He's the guy who has enough power to stage a coup in Russia just to cover up a story about his son.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So he's either senile or the man who's both started a coup and pantsed Kevin McCarthy in the last month.
Yeah, right. Which one is it? I don't know. So just to get kind of to explain, a lot of the things that go on all the time, you kind of hear about it, and the real ins and outs of it aren't explained. So I learned up on a lot of things this weekend trying to think about what to talk about for this show. So basically, mostly what I learned is just things about the weather, because really the only event was that we had rain on Sunday, I think. Or it was Saturday? Saturday. So I learned a lot about the weather, and that's what primarily we're going to talk about. Now, so what happened in Russia and other things we're going to talk about is some Supreme Court rulings that are extremely interesting and surprising, and a letter that is addressed to my wife, but still to my house, from David Hand, chair of the Minnesota Republican Party. Kind of a lot of money, a printed envelope with extra art that's really tasteless and bad. Even if it's tasteless, it's whoever drew it is, it looks like a novice first grader who drew it. Maybe it was, I don't know, but a bunch of printed stuff, color printing, expensive, running campaigns and things like that. I know how expensive a thing like this can be. And why is he sending it to the wife of somebody who actually ran as a Democrat for the State House of Representatives? Does he think that she's going to send in money to the Republican Party? And the Republican Party is out of money. So, of course, this is the way they want to spend their money. But, to try and raise money, that's what they desperately need to do. But they're not going to raise money by sending to everybody. They're just wasting money by sending to everybody, which is, I always assume, what they're doing here. Because and it's also proof that they don't have enough money to have a database of information to know who the best people to contact would be. because when you're doing a fundraiser like this, you want to contact the staunchest Republicans. You don't want to be contacting the wife of somebody who ran as a Democrat a few years ago and has headed up campaigns of all of the Democratic candidates in the district over the last 10 years. So anyway, so a lot of horrible stuff going on, and the letter in this is just absolutely disgusting, going on with both Minnesota Republicans and national Republicans. But let's just kind of sweep up what's going on in Russia, because it is still extremely interesting, and and it's hard to get at the information. There are even experts in the United States who don't even quite agree with each other on parts of exactly what the Wagner Group is, and there some people say it's kind of an extension of part of the Russian military. Some people say they're completely on their own. It was started by an ex-con who basically recruits other ex-cons. So you either join the Wagner Group or you go to jail. So a lot of kind of psychopathic, bloodthirsty people are in the Wagner Group. And the guy who started it is in the business sort of war in a lot of different places in the world. But he benefits Russia, or benefited Russia, until Friday night. And by the way, it was within the last half hour that we were on the air here with the Matt McNeil show on Friday that this began. And Prigozhin is the name of the guy who runs the Wagner Group. And he put out a video saying that Putin was lying to the Russian people about the reason that he went to war in the Ukraine. And that was a pretty big deal. And he likely got to a lot of Russians because he wasn't doing it on state TV. And he was doing it, on the internet where people could more easily access it. And you're not allowed to say anything like that on any Russian state entity. So all of a sudden, one of the last things that I said here on air when I sat in for Matt on Friday evening, so we're talking about in 4:45 to 5 o'clock, it looks like that video came out maybe at about 4:15 or 4:30 our time, and I noticed it and kind of said, wow, something looks like it's kind of huge going on in Russia. And then it was huge. So Saturday morning here, everybody was monitoring. The Wagner Group had taken over two major cities in the southern part of Russia, and they were heading to Moscow. And all of a sudden, a bunch of oligarchs got on their private planes and flew to different countries. And Putin himself flew to another area. He got out of Moscow. And the dictator who runs Belarus, Lukashenko, he got on his private plane and had to fly into Russian airspace because he couldn't fly over Ukraine or he would have got shot down. He flew into Russian airspace, but turned his transponders of his airplane off while he was in Russian airspace. And then he came out south of Ukraine, turned his transponders back on, and flew into Turkey and landed there. And Belarus, the people of Belarus then were going to try and take their country back from him, the horrible dictator. So this was all going on simultaneously on Saturday morning. This also means the Wagner Group pretty much left Ukraine, and the Wagner Group was really the only force in Ukraine that was doing anything because the Russian forces are just falling, they're tripping over their shoelaces. And at the moment, it looks like the Wagner Group might no longer be a part of the war in Ukraine. So Putin is not looking as tough as he likes to look, riding on a horse with his shirt off. He put his tail between his legs and got out of Dodge City. He got scared. So the Wagner Group was on their way to Moscow and stopped and turned around and went back. And it's unclear as to why. At first it was, there was a deal made by Lukashenko, the dictatorial leader of Belarus, which is just north of Ukraine. It borders Ukraine on the south, and it borders Russia on the east. And a deal was made, so the leader of the Wagner Group, which is like a mercenary group, but very, very tough, and they have like 50,000 members. They also do a lot of money support for Russia because they hook up with weak countries in Africa and places like that, and then they kind of support the way too small government, which is usually a bad force government. And in payment, they'll take diamonds that are being mined in those countries. So those are the kind of countries they choose to go into. And it's all about money, really. They go in and say, okay, hey, you want to maintain your leadership in this country. The people could easily revolt against you because you don't really have a military. We will be your military if you give us diamonds that your country is mining right now. And then they send the money back to Russia. Well, it's unclear if they're going to keep loyal to Russia. It's unclear. And even Russian soldiers were not, trying to stop them. And the people almost welcomed the Wagner Group into these cities, and they took over the military headquarters in these cities with no resistance from the commanders of the Russian army there. So this shows the Russian army to be extremely weak and possibly disloyal to Putin. Almost as if they're like, hey, are you going to take over? Because we're sick of working for Putin. And the people of Russia, it's unclear. It's very difficult for us to have intelligence, accurate intelligence in Russia. However, we did have intelligence that this was going to happen. And President Biden was told about it over last week so that we weren't caught off guard. Some people are saying that the Biden administration was caught off guard. They really weren't. We had pretty good intelligence about this event going to occur. Apparently, we knew more about it than Putin did. Putin was caught off guard. Joe Biden wasn't. And now Joe Biden is saying we had absolutely nothing to do with this, and NATO had nothing to do with this. This is all inside Russia problems. You got your own problems. We did not do any part of this. All we're doing is supporting Ukraine in that war where you unlawfully invaded. That's what we're doing. We had nothing to do with any kind of coup. We had nothing to do with anything that occurred inside Russia. So, very interesting. A lot of people are saying that Putin's days are numbered. But then some people are saying, I don't know that it changes much. But obviously, I mean, I don't know. To me, it seems like it changes kind of a lot. And there are speculations as to what might go down in the Putin world. And it has to do with all this, Cold War era sounding lingo. There will either be the gunshot in the square or there will be the tap on the shoulder. The tap on the shoulder is that somebody will say, hey, Putin, it looks like you need to step aside or this could get worse. Something worse could happen if you don't step aside, both in our country and I'm just kind of saying, maybe to you. I'd sure hate for that nice family of yours to have something happen. I'd sure hate for that nice shirtless torso of yours to have something happen to it. Maybe step aside a little bit, huh? Let somebody else have a turn. You're making some mistakes, buddy. It's not going as well as it used to. And then, of course, the shot in the court is you skip the tap on the shoulder and you just assassinate Putin. Some people say that they think news will come out that Putin is stepping aside because of health issues. So a lot of speculation, but all of it sounds like Cold War era spy movie stuff. And also the leader of Wagner, he has apparently surfaced, but he's not saying where he is. But he's probably sleeping with one eye open as well. And not going near any windows or standing on any outdoor balconies.
I'm the most interested, though, in the attack that started this whole thing. That's kind of the one thing that doesn't really add up for me is Prigozhin accusing the Russians of dropping bombs on his soldiers, and that part just doesn't add up for me.
That happened a while weeks ago, apparently, in Ukraine, and he was feeling very used by Putin because he was doing most of the heavy lifting in Ukraine, and the Russian soldiers were not really having high regard for Wagner. And if Wagner was caught in the crossfire, the Russians would shoot anyway. So it sounded to me like the Wagner group was, like I just said, caught in crossfire, sort of. And he lost some guys. There was apparently one incident where he lost 30 guys, and it was from Russian fire. And it was either accidental, neglectful, like the Russian soldiers were like, yeah, we don't care if some Wagner group guys are in the way. We're going to bomb this place anyway. Or if it was on purpose. And that angered Prigozhin. And then he was also saying, he was claiming that they were being starved of ammunition. That might have been a lie, because it sounds like he was trying to make it, maybe after that attack happened, he thought, okay, I'm going to attack Moscow now. So I'm going to try and get some more ammunition, but I'm going to make it look like I'm running out of ammunition so that they're caught off guard. Any few of these scenarios might have happened. But it was an interesting weekend because all of that sounds so far away, and all of a sudden now it was, brought right into our houses, and we learned an awful lot about a lot of things. And I want to make some correlations between Trump and Putin in all of this as well, but we do need to take a break. So let's take a short break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Matt McNeil Show, Todd Mikkelson sitting in. We'll be right back.
Get ready for the best and biggest fireworks selection at Fireworks City in Baldwin, Wisconsin. And now they have exciting news. Free stuff is back with a $200 or more purchase. But that's not all. They're bringing back their incredible get 3 for 1 low price deal on all multi-shot cakes. Stock up on these incredible multi-shot cakes and get 3 for the price of 1. At Fireworks City, we're your one-stop shop for all your firework needs. Located just 25 minutes from St. Paul, it's worth a short drive on I-94 to exit 19. And here's the best part. Buy one, get one for 99 cents on every firework. Don't just take their word for it. See all the fireworks in action on one of their many TVs. Experience the excitement firsthand and make an informed choice. Bring your family and friends and head over to Fireworks City in Baldwin, Wisconsin. Exit 19 off Interstate 94. Fireworks City guarantees a fun and family-friendly atmosphere. The best deal on fireworks is waiting for you. Buy one, get one for 99 cents.
Why must the world be so cold? They've gone against what was told. Thinking rape is cool, think about it. They think it's not wrong, violence against women, the rape, the abuse, the emotional, physical. They all hold the hate, think about it. Is it right or wrong? What attracts you? I'm not saying no names, but you laugh. Talk about it like nothing is wrong. Think about it. They all hold the hate. Gotta stop the violence. Stop the hate, think about it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting around a fire is the oldest, most basic form of human activity.
What's new is in the way fire is burned. We can show you how to burn cleaner with a lot less smoke.
The radiant heat and light from an open fire is unmatched. It kindles our spirits and connects us to the outdoors. And now it's easier to experience and enjoy.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs wood and gas burning fire pits and fireplaces. Let us help you experience an outdoor fire without all the smoke.
Come see the many ways you can enjoy a fire outdoors.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil show. Matt will be back on the 5th of July, so he's gone this entire week. We were talking about the goings-on in Russia. I pointed out that I wanted to make a correlation between Putin and Trump. Now, Putin is wondering who's loyal and who's not. He's calling Prigozhin a traitor, but he also maybe made a deal with him. He's also thanking the Wagner group, anyone who turned around, anyone who did not go all the way to Moscow. Well, he was one of them. He was the one who ordered the turnaround. So is he a traitor, or are you thanking him? Putin's obviously walking on eggshells. If Prigozhin dies, which I would say a good chance, or just disappears, a lot of people might be really mad at Putin. So Putin's probably thinking about that. I probably shouldn't assassinate the guy because he seemed to have a lot of force behind him. So that's why he's being like, thank you to all you Wagner guys who didn't go in all the way to Moscow and turned around and went back home. Thank you. But then he's saying that they should join the Russian army. So that's kind of then, where's he putting the Wagner group? Is he saying, hey, you guys, you should join the Russian army because the Wagner group's going to have some bad things happen to them? So he's being very unclear. The people in Russia are lied to all the time, so they have no idea what to believe. And that's part of why they didn't really have a problem with Prigozhin using the Wagner group to go into Moscow. They probably felt the same way we did, like, oh, wow, this is a fun drama. Wonder what's going to happen. So Putin might not have the loyalty of the citizens of Russia. Putin might not have the loyalty of the Russian military. And now, Putin's angry with his Russian military because everything's going horribly for them in the Ukraine war. He said he was going to just completely take over Ukraine in 3 days. Well, that was a year and a half ago. And it looks like Russia's losing. And now that Wagner's gone, Ukraine just started an offensive. So things are looking a lot better for Ukraine than they were at this time of the day on Friday. Now, the correlation with Trump, what Trump did on January 6th, and even before that, the idea that the military, it was floated in the Oval Office. People like Michael Flynn said, use the military to seize the voting machines. That's basically a coup d'etat. Trump was kind of talked out of that. And January 6th happens. Now, what if Trump would have ordered the United States military to support the MAGAs on January 6th? he didn't ask them to do that, in big part, I think, because him and his people did not know if the military would do it. It would be highly illegal for the military to do it, and the military, I predict, would not have done it. They would have said that is an unlawful command by our commander-in-chief. We will not turn our guns on American people. If Trump were to win and get back in the White House, which a lot of people are trying to make us all scared that that's going to happen. I think there's a 0.0001 chance, percentage-wise, that would happen. Would the military be loyal to Trump? Trump's making all of these threats now. And he was thinking of turning the United States military against the United States people and Congress on January 6, 2021. So if he got in the White House, might it even go as far as a military coup d'etat against him in the United States? That's pretty pie in the sky. That's doubtful. But if he ordered the military to do something like he was thinking of ordering them to do on January 6, 2021, I think the military might say, okay, that's enough. You're going to have to leave now. I'm not sure what would happen, but the fact that we're in a place where anyone would speculate about something like that, the world is a lot different now, and we have our institutions, and they did hold, and they are holding, but I think we all view them quite differently than we did, 6, 7, 8, 9, and more years ago. I think we saw that they're a lot weaker than we all assumed. I think we've all learned that we can't assume things anymore, even in the United States. If Trump gets in the White House, he wants to be a dictator. He's already threatening to do illegal things, but he doesn't care that they're illegal. They're unconstitutional. He doesn't care that they're unconstitutional because he doesn't care about the United States Constitution. He doesn't care about the United States Democratic Republic. He wants it to be an oligarch. He wants it to be a fascist dictatorship. He wants all of the power. He would love to kick out you and me. He would love us to leave the country or die. So if he became president, what kind of loyalty would he have? Chris Christie's not loyal to him anymore. Chris Christie rose in the polls because he's making sense. There's one poll that shows him at 9% all of a sudden. He was at 1%. And since he's launched his campaign, maybe 2 weeks ago, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, his numbers have gone up to 9%. DeSantis has come way down on that same poll. DeSantis is down to 13%. Everyone else is staying down kind of below 5, at 2 and 3 and 4 and 5%. DeSantis is going down. He's just absolutely making a fool out of himself every time he opens his mouth. And a lot of people are thinking, wow, Chris Christie makes a lot of sense. I still don't think Chris Christie could win the primary if Trump is still in it. But would Trump be in it? You heard me talk about why did Mike Pence get in the race? He's a hopeless case. The Republican Party wanted to kill him on January 6th. I'm sure like I said, his people were probably saying, you can't win in a primary against Trump. The Republican Party wants you dead. And then Pence would say, well, what if Trump's not in the primary? And then they would say, you're crazy. Of course he's going to be in the primary. And then finally Pence keeps saying, and then kind of convinces his people, I know things you don't know because I was the vice president. He's not going to be in the primary. He's going to be in prison. Pence, maybe speculating that, thinking he would be the next in line. If Trump's not in the primary, Chris Christie, that would make me nervous. I don't know. The Republican Party hates Chris Christie, but he just rose in the polls. So it's really, it's going to be very hard to make predictions about what's going to happen in 2024. Time for us to take another break. Let's do that. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. 952-946-6205 if you want to call in. I'm Todd Mikkelson, sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
Move under my feet. I feel the sky.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Sunshine today with a high of 82, then overnight tonight clear skies with a low of 61. Celebrate the arrival of summer with a great meal at an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant, perfect for any occasion. Check out the list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants at eatlocalminnesota.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. And I mentioned Ron DeSantis going down in the polls. He's running an absolute disaster of a campaign. We talked about it last week. Some experts, Republican experts, are saying so. They've never seen such a horrible campaign. He's got tons of money. He's been spending hundreds of millions of dollars already. Tens of millions of dollars, I guess, he's been spending. But he's got kind of all of the money hoarded into his campaign. And every time he spends some of it and does an interview or show, he's traveling all over the place. He went to San Francisco to record an ad, I guess. And I want to play it for you now because I think it's proof that he's not talking about anything that anyone wants to talk about. Seems like he's not getting the Republican memos. He's a year behind them. And he's just talking about all this woke stuff, and it's not working. So here's his ad that he made in San Francisco.
We're here in the once great city of San Francisco. We came in here and we saw people defecating on the street. We saw people using heroin. We saw people smoking crack cocaine. And you look around, the city is not vibrant anymore. It's really collapsed because of leftist policies. And these policies have caused people to flee this area. They don't prosecute criminals like they do in most parts of the country. And the wreckage has really, really been sad to see. And so I've seen so many businesses boarded up. I've seen so much riffraff just running around. And it just shows you these policies matter. Leadership matters. They are doing it wrong here. No wonder why we've had so many people move from San Francisco to Florida over the last few years. We got to stop this madness. We need to restore sanity to this country.
So, yeah, that's all lies, obviously. When's the last time that you, in one short trip, like drive up the street in a city, seen people defecating, and then you saw people smoking crack cocaine, and then you saw people doing heroin, and then he did an interview after this where he added, we were just in San Francisco, and there was an open-air drug market, is what he called it, and he saw people doing fentanyl. He saw all of this in the 5 minutes that he was in San Francisco. And of course, when he films this, it's obvious that they found some corner where there's some boxes and it looks kind of a little garbagey on a corner. And then there's graffiti, but the graffiti actually looks very artsy. It actually looks kind of good, like it was done by an expert. It's not just somebody with a spray can. It's really good art. But of course, he thinks, that makes it look like black people did it. So that's Ron DeSantis, obviously, bald-facedly lying in this ad. And people are just plain getting sick of it. And also, there was some polling, some kind of intricate polling, where people were asked about his message. His main campaign message is, let's make America Florida. And I'm sure he thinks he's really clever for coming up with that, because it kind of sounds like something Trump would say. Let's make America something again. Let's make America Florida. And people were asked about that. And something like, 38% of Republicans liked that. And of course, no Democrats or independents liked it at all. But that's his main message. He just talks about, we got to get rid of the woke. And he keeps repeating, Florida is where woke comes to die. And people are just getting sick of it. And they're sick of his face and voice and everything. He did a campaign thing today. I think it was in Colorado. I mean, he's just traveling all over the place. He's not being governor of Florida. He had to have a law changed. He had to have the Republican-led legislature change a longtime Florida law that does not allow for a governor to run for president while he's governor, because he would be neglecting the job of governor. He's almost never in Florida, but he and his wife come out on stage carrying their little kids and, made a big guy's announcing it. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. And it looked like there was maybe 60 people there at the event. Nobody really cares about Ron DeSantis. And the more they find out about him, the more they dislike him. It's just, I think he's going to I don't think he's going to make it to the Iowa caucuses. I think he's going to pull out. I think people are going to stop giving him money. And, he was holding at like 26% in the polls for weeks, slowly going down. Now he's down to apparently 13% in the polls. So it's looking like he may not be the second guy on the list fairly soon. So we have a caller, but let's take a short break, and just hang on the line, caller, and we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and take a call from Melanie from Minneapolis. You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
You hear a lot about Rudy Luther Toyota's hybrid cars, but maybe you're asking yourself, are they worth it? Let me say from experience, absolutely. I have a Toyota Sienna hybrid, and the proof is in the gas tank. Before my hybrid, I was filling up my tank once a week. Now it's consistently every 2 weeks. I did the math, and my hybrid is saving me over $1,000 every year. And the Toyota hybrids are some of the most stylish and comfortable vehicles you'll ever drive. Now's the time to get a Toyota hybrid. Set up a time to test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley. The place for summer fun is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio this summer. Head over on Tuesday, June 27th for Bryce Heggie, Wednesday, June 28th for Ash St. John, and on Thursday, June 29th, it's Annalise L. Music runs from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., and reservations are highly recommended. And the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, get your summer groove on at the Park Tavern.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
All right, everybody in the car, let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's polka hour here. No, it's not. Say, just a little bit before we take a phone call here, the English division of UATV, they want to be international, but it sounds like they're based in Ukraine. They're saying what is happening in Russia mass media due to Prigozhin's rebellion is the end of propaganda in the format in which it was known. A media researcher is saying that. So propaganda will be different in Russia, is what this person's saying. There's also a story that is less than 2 hours old that UATV is putting out, and it's got a question mark, so I don't know what it means, but it says Russians withdraw from Crimea. So, yeah, things are changing over there. Melanie in Minneapolis is on the line. How you doing, Melanie?
Well, you just got me very excited by saying Russians withdraw from Crimea, because to me that's the happy ending.
Yeah, it has a question. It has a question mark.
As Trump called it, real estate. That is a very valuable piece of real estate.
Yes. Yep. And it's got a question mark at the end of it. So, but
Sure.
but
Yeah, I know this is all quite fast breaking news.
Yeah.
But I'm actually calling about DeSantis. And I'm not going to put down autistics because I actually chose to breed with one, and so I must like autistics. But I know a lot about autistics now, and I'm gonna categorize DeSantis in one of the three main categories of autistic. There's retarded autistics that are both boys and girls, and they need a lot of care, a lot of care. Then there are the boys and men that never get out of their mother's basements. And then there are the autistics who are insanely bright, which DeSantis clearly is, and they are extremely dependent on their wives.
Yeah.
Okay. So DeSantis is that third category.
Yeah.
And in some ways he's not that different than Mr. Musk.
I see. Yeah.
As Matt McNeil calls him so humorously.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting watching, like everyone's using the term these days, superpower. And that term came into the lingo talking about autistics. And so I'm fascinated with autism. Again, because the only time I ever had a baby, I chose to breed with an autistic. So it's like, I guess I better learn about this. But yeah, I read an article in the New Yorker about DeSantis, and I was like, God, DeSantis, what an attractive man. And then I'm like, Melanie, calm down. First of all, he's the enemy, you know, even though his intelligence is very attractive. And then I'm like, this guy's autistic. So I just want to, he is.
So that's what you get, and you know a lot about it because you're very close with somebody, and you learned a lot about
more
it.
than, I mean, it's a long story with.
Right.
Well, it's a lot. It's 20 years of immersion.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's very interesting.
Tell me more about the pudding, the fingers in the pudding. What do you? I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Tell me more about the pudding and the fingers.
Yeah.
The fingers in the pudding.
Right. Okay. Well, see, I don't know very much about autism at all, but I'm taking your word for it. But now that you point all these things out, it really kind of puts two and two together, and makes a lot of sense. And
you know what they said about DeSantis in this New Yorker article? Everyone was gushing about him and going, oh, I've never seen someone so smart. The reason that I can't relate to him is he's so fast and efficient. I am not worthy. And I'm like, well, if we strip away the partisanship, you've got a guy who's super low on emotional intelligence and super high on some specialty.
Yeah.
But before I go, I just need to say one more thing. Look how he's getting hung up on woke.
Right. Yeah.
He is hanging himself. He is hoisting himself on his own petard, as they used to say. And why is that? Because autistics so readily get obsessed.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use. He's really obsessed with that, and it's not going well for him. And he's not noticing how bad it's going for him. So actually, what you're saying, I don't want to put anybody down if they do have that going on in their lives, including him. And I know nothing about it, so I don't know if he's ever been diagnosed or anything like that. And if he is diagnosed with that, I don't think that disqualifies you from running for office either. But it makes what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I don't want to put something on somebody.
I recommend that New Yorker article. It's really very. I love the New Yorker. It's a fabulous article, and I learned a lot about. Hey, before I go, and also, tell me why would a guy start out saying his name is DeSantis and then decide my name is DeSantis? Who would do that?
Yeah, right.
Who would do that midstream? That is political suicide.
Yeah, you're making a lot of sense. I'm feeling nervous because we're on the radio and it's controversial, but
I know I'm being controversial, but I love my only child is autistic. I love autistics.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, thanks for the call. Very, very interesting. And the way that she said not socially intelligent, that definitely describes Ron DeSantis. He maybe he's functioning on a really high level, in some level of intelligence, but I ain't seeing it. And when she just used the term, he lacks of social intelligence, that makes a lot of sense. Because everybody keeps saying how smart he is. He went to Harvard, he went to Yale, and he's super, super smart. And I just don't see any evidence of it. To me, he's being really, really dumb. And so, lacking social intelligence would definitely be an accurate way of describing him. And the handlers around him are just abysmal. He's got an agency, a consulting agency working for his campaign. And wow, remind me never to hire that agency. I don't know I heard what their name was over the weekend. I can't remember what it is right now, but the people handling Ron DeSantis are I don't know, it's almost criminal, especially with what Melanie is suggesting. I just think that it's like, okay, wow, that's almost mean. Because I almost feel bad for him now. But anyway, very interesting call there from Melanie from Minneapolis. We're coming to the end of the first hour. When we come back, I want to talk about this letter that we got at my house from David Hahn, and just how absolutely off the rails it is. And I can't figure out what's going on with the Republican Party right now. They are going in the wrong direction. This is not going to appeal to hardly anybody. There's just so few people that would go for this kind of talk. And it's going on elsewhere too. I'm going to play a really kind of astonishing speech and dangerous speech that was given by a Minnesota Republican legislator last week as well. When we come back for the second hour on the Matt McNeil Show, Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show. We got Patrick on the board. You're listening to AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Check out the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis on the corner of 29th and Johnson for a delicious meal any time of the day. Breakfast favorites include Jean's mean fried egg sandwich and the drunken banana French toast. While for dinner, try selections like the fabulous Swedish meatballs or wild rice gumbo. Hazel's Northeast is located on the corner of 29th Avenue and Johnson Street, just a few minutes away from 35W. View Hazel's menu, make a reservation, or place a takeout order at hazelsnetogo.com.
You're struggling with your mortgage. You think about it all the time.
What are we going to do if we lose the house?
It's time to stop thinking and start dialing. Call 1-888-995-HOPE for a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. We've helped over 1 million homeowners, and we want to help you. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden says he spoke to his allies about the mini insurrection over the weekend in Russia.
They agreed with me that we had to make sure we gave Putin no excuse. Let me emphasize, we gave Putin no excuse to blame this on the West or to blame this on NATO. We made clear that we were not involved. We had nothing to do with it. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system.
Russian President Vladimir Putin thanked the nation for unity and thanked most of the members of the Wagner Group for not letting the situation deteriorate into bloodshed. This is National Security Council spokesman John Kirby.
We had good, direct communications with the Russians over the course of the weekend. It's our expectation that that would be able to continue going forward.
Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the mercenary group, says he wasn't seeking to stage a coup, but was acting to prevent the destruction of his private military company. Heat warnings and advisories are up from Texas to Florida. Cameron Self is at the National Weather Service.
We have a very strong ridge of high pressure that's been sitting over Texas and Mexico for at least a week. And we're going to be dealing with this for, I'd say, at least another week, perhaps even more.
The heat is taxing the power grid in Texas. The Supreme Court lifted its hold on a Louisiana case that could force the state to redraw congressional districts to boost black voting power. The first UN independent investigator to visit the U.S. detention center at Guantanamo Bay says the 30 men there are subject to ongoing cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment under international law. Recordings show dolphin moms use baby talk to call to their young. A study found female bottlenose dolphins change their tone when addressing their calves. The tone is different when swimming alone or with other adults. The Dow finished down about 12 points. This is AP News. Germany says it is willing.
We expect our information in real time. US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 800-730-8405 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check. As easy as, that's 800-730-8405.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
The world has changed. Our economy has changed. And now, more than ever, it's important that your retirement savings is set up to generate income, real money in your bank account month after month while still controlling your principal. And that's what we do. We're Ferguson Financial. We set up people for retirement income. Call us today, 888-429-5569, and check out our retirement income program, Sunday mornings at 9.
Hi, this is Angela Warner for Warner Stellian Appliance. Do you have a dishwasher that doesn't really clean your dishes, so you have to? Or a refrigerator that kind of keeps your milk cold and you've just been waiting for the right time to buy? Well, Warner Stellian has the lowest prices of the season with exclusive savings, including free dishwasher installation on brands like Bosch, and up to 10% off and a bonus for each additional appliance you buy for up to $1,000. See what I mean at warnerstellian.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Sunshine today with a high of 82, then overnight tonight clear skies with a low of 61. Celebrate the arrival of summer with a great meal at an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant, perfect for any occasion. Check out the list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We're back for the second hour of the show on June 26th, Monday, 2023, on the Matt McNeil Show. Todd Mikkelson sitting in for Matt, who's on vacation until July 5th. And before I go into what I said I was going to go into, I just want to do another update. Things are moving on the other side of the planet here. So whenever you're trying to inform yourself of something, remember to always consider the source. So this source, his name is Jason J. Smart, and his Twitter handle, he writes, 2010 Russia lifetime ban for working against Putin. And then he writes something in Russian or Ukrainian. PhD in America, I share what interests me. He's a correspondent on the Kyiv Post in Ukraine. He does press stuff. And his analysis, he says something is happening in Russia. Putin's address to the Russian nation tonight, which it's night over there. So, because this is coming out just less than 1 hour ago. So Putin's address to the nation tonight was cryptic, and there are signs that something yet secret is transpiring. The Kremlin spokesman, Peskov, had said that Putin's speech will change the fate of Russia. However, it looked pre-recorded and as if it cut off before it was finished. What is the second urgent part of the speech that we have not yet seen? Tomorrow, Lukashenko, the dictator leader of Belarus, is to also give a quote-unquote historic speech. So now Jason J. Smart is giving his hypothesis. Following Putin's meeting with his National Security Council, which is happening right now, part 2 of Putin's speech will appear, he's speculating, and it will really be important. And then he also writes, Putin is at his weakest point ever. He knows that if he does not create a significant paradigm shift as soon as possible, he can lose control of Russia. And then apparently, just a while ago, Prigozhin is back with an 11-minute audio message. He says the reason he marches is because Wagner was forced to disband by July 1st because of an order to sign contracts. Wagner commanders refused to sign those contracts. So apparently he's saying that Russia wants the Wagner guys to sign up to be on the Russian military, and then he's calling them cannon fodder. So he's still seems pretty pissed off. And and Malcolm Nance also, who worked in deep intelligence, he has referred to the Russian army as being nothing but cannon fodder these days. So anyway, okay, getting to what I was going to talk about, because that situation is changing all the time. I'm just trying to keep you up to date. We got a letter at my house from the Republican Party. David Hahn, the chair of the Republican Party. It's addressed to my wife, Heidi. But, you know, she is the wife of a guy who ran as a Democrat for the Minnesota State House twice and has been heavily involved in the local politics for the DFL party. So this tells me that the Republican Party is in desperate need to raise money because they don't even have enough money to have a decent database to see who the most effective people would be to send a fundraising letter to. Because I'm telling you right now, there's no way that Heidi's going to give them a red cent. And here's the letter that he has decided. Here's what he's decided this letter should be. Tim Walz and the Democrats are flushing Minnesota down the toilet with their radical agenda. And by the way, it comes in an envelope that's got a drawn picture on it that you can't tell what it is whatsoever. It took me a long time to figure out what the elements of the drawing were. It really looks like it was drawn by a little kid who's a not very good drawer. It was actually a horrible drawer. It's apparently supposed to be Tim Walz, and he's holding Minnesota, just looks like a cardboard cutout of Minnesota, and he's putting it in a horribly drawn toilet that took me a long time to figure out that it was a toilet. And then he's got his finger on the flusher of the toilet. And then he's saying, ha ha, anything goes. And then the little cardboard cutout of Minnesota is saying, save the women and children. Okay, so back to the letter. Tim Walz and the Democrats are flushing Minnesota down the toilet with their radical agenda. I had to read that on the letter to figure out what the drawing even was. Then the letter goes on. During the 2023 legislative session, Walz and the Democrats sanctioned abortions up to the moment of birth, made Minnesota a trans refuge state, legalized marijuana, blew through an $18 billion surplus, and still jacked up your taxes. And that's bolded and underlined. With Democrats in control in St. Paul, Minnesota is now known as a sanctuary for abortion, gender-affirming care, and pot smokers. The left's woke ideology is poisoning our state. Under the leadership of the denigrate Democrats, Minnesota has become a refuge for evil. Okay, this is just beginning, this letter. From David Hahn, the chair of the Republican Party. It's not from an outside group. It goes on. Walz and the Democrats rammed through one radical law after another. Despite the massive budget surplus, they raised taxes by $10 billion, including raising the gas tax with automatic future increases. They exploded state spending by 43%. They passed an unaffordable, unreliable, and dangerous blackout bill, energy policy. Don't even know what that is. Throwing common sense out the window. The Democrats are providing driver's licenses and free health care for illegal aliens. You can't make this stuff up, it says. Now, of course, hopefully you heard me go through a lot of what the DFL actually did as opposed to what he's describing they did. And the Minnesota Democratic Party is getting nationwide kudos. Melissa Hortman was at the White House last week because she's getting praise for doing such a good job. I don't even know if I'm going to go on with this. I'll just kind of skim through it. Of course, the Democrats' crazy defund the police policies are based on the idiotic premise that the police are the bad guys and criminals are the good guys. The Biden-Walz Democrats are gun grabbers, and your Second Amendment constitutional rights are under attack, including red flag laws, background checks on private gun sales, and the registration of all guns. Those are things that the vast majority of Americans and Minnesotans are in favor of. David Hahn does not seem to realize that. Together, we will return common sense and sanity to Minnesota. Yeah, the Republican Party is going to do that. You are a loyal and faithful Republican. No, this is written to my wife. She's not. She's the opposite. At this critical time, we're counting on you to actively show your commitment. And then it asks for money. We have to demolish the Democrats' woke agenda. Yeah. But then they tout the political contribution refund program, where if you give, $50, or if you give more than $50, you get $50 back. This is something that they say they're against, but they're touting it here. Saying, hey, don't forget to use your, get your $50 back. Just kind of looking through. Yeah, the political contribution refund program, something that they say they hate. I'll read the PS. Democrats are bent on destroying Minnesota's children and our state. Remember, Walz and the Democrats sanctioned abortions up to the moment of birth, made Minnesota a trans refuge state, legalized marijuana, blew through an $18 billion surplus, and still jacked up your taxes. That's a repeat from the first line. That's how they do the political kind of writing. Anyway, I think that's pretty disgusting. Calling the Democratic Party demented. Or no, denigrate. The denigrate Democrats. And that prompts me then, so, they're not just saying, hey, we disagree with these policies. Do you disagree with these policies? We think that the Democrats raised taxes too much and we're against that. We want to go against that. Would you support us in going against that? They don't say that. They're into like destroy. So I want to play a piece of sound here, Patrick. This is Republican Representative Walter Hudson. And he's saying this is no longer politics as usual. This is war. He is talking to a senior group. So there's a small room. It's a room that doesn't have a whole lot of people in it, and they're all seniors. And it's like he's giving a lecture. So listen to this.
This is no longer politics as usual. This is no longer the Norman Rockwell painting of a guy standing up at a town hall meeting and speaking his mind to a room full of interested citizens who are engaged in good faith. This is war. It's war. And it has been war for a very long time. There are some people who recognize it a lot earlier than others. Andrew Breitbart was one of them. Donald Trump was one of them. But now we've finally gotten to the point where, broadly speaking, Republicans understand, and it's starting to get outside of our circles, that there is a war ongoing against our way of life and against our very selves. Across the board, you're dealing with a party that has declared war upon you. The goal of modern Democrats is to conquer you. What do I mean by that? Conquer. You think about what's entailed in conquering a people. You're physically displacing them. Get out. Go somewhere else. You're encroaching upon their livelihood, whether it's preventing them from being able to produce or taking that which they have produced, right? You're making them dependent upon you. You're enslaving them. These are all ways in which an invading force would conquer a territory or a people. And to a point, you go down the list of things that they aim to do and are actively doing, and they all fit into one of those categories.
So this is very similar to what the Nazis did in the 1930s. Scaring you, saying that the other people basically want you dead. It's a war. They want to conquer you. They want you to leave. They want you to be gone. They want to prevent you from producing. What does he mean by producing? Like producing offspring? Producing products? This is very dangerous. And this guy is dangerous. Walter Hudson says the most appalling crap on Twitter. And now that Elon Musk is running Twitter, I see this guy, Representative Walter Hudson, all the time on Twitter. I don't follow him, but I see him all the time. I don't know, he's at least part black, and that's why he says that, like, I'm a racist because I say no black people should be a Republican. I can't figure out why a black person would ever be a Republican, but he says that makes me racist. because black person should have the right to be a Republican. I agree with that. They have a perfectly good right to do it. It's just that it's so obvious the Republican Party is racist against you. So I don't know why you would want to be a part of that party. But that kind of then points out that everything they do and say is projection. What he's saying the Democrats want to do to all these elderly people listening to him is what the Republicans want to do to the Democrats, as I think proven by David Hahn calling the Democrats denigrates. The left's woke ideology is poisoning our state. And describing things in the worst possible way, sanctioning abortions up to the moment of birth. That is not what's going on, but what the Nazis did and what you do if you try and, conquer, if you want to conquer the other side, one of the things you have to do is dehumanize them. The Republican Party has been trying to dehumanize all Democrats for years. Walter Hudson says this has been going on for a long time. Yeah, it has, in the exact opposite manner in which you're describing it. It's all projection. I'm surprised that David Hand's letter didn't say that Democrats eat babies, because that is something that some Republicans claim is true. And no Republicans speak against those people who say that kind of stuff. Kevin McCarthy does not speak against that. Kevin McCarthy is not pointing out the facts that all of these lies that the Republicans are saying about Hunter Biden cannot be proven. They have no proof. They cannot come up with the proof. There's recordings, 17 recordings. Okay, where? Play me one. So this is, I don't know. It's still getting worse before it's going to get better. I'm very optimistic. I always think it's going to get better. But right now, they're in the death throes. They're a rabid animal caught in the corner, and they're scared, fecesless, and they're acting they're getting more and more vile and disgusting. And it's unbelievable to me. Anyway, we got to take a break, and we'll be back in a few minutes on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. You're listening to the Matt McNeil Show. We'll be right back.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
How does this sound? Doesn't this sound better? If you've decided to level your home and build new or to renovate, hire Better Futures Minnesota instead to take it apart by hand. Think before you scrap. Think of the energy and greenhouse gases saved when someone repurposes your old cabinets, fixtures, and lumber. Think of all the resources saved by diverting those building materials from the landfill. Better Futures Minnesota makes it happen for you. Hennepin County residents and public entities, funds are available to make the environmentally responsible alternative comparable to a typical demolition. For more information, check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com, or call 612-351-8650. And don't forget to shop the Reuse Warehouse in Minneapolis.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil show. We got Patrick on the board. We were talking about that the Republican Party is getting dangerous. The things they're saying are dangerous. They're trying to ramp their people up for, I mean, this is what you do to try and, like before January 6th, to try and get an uprising. Now, Trump has tried to do that. He said, they're arresting me in New York. Go there and protest. And nobody showed up. They're arresting me down in Florida. Go and protest. And nobody showed up. Very, very few people. Tens of people showed up. So it looks like all the leaders of January 6th are in prison. And a lot of the followers of January 6th are in prison. There was one woman who, there was a report about her getting jail time, by somebody saying that it was an atrocity. And then Trump said, this is terrible. And that woman then got back to him and said, don't use me as a pawn. I was found guilty because I was guilty. So she's showing remorse. She said, I did something I wasn't supposed to do because of you. And I'm getting punished for that. I take that. So that's what's going on with those people. Now, dangerous stuff. This is the kind of talk that is really, really dangerous. I'm going to play sound here again, Patrick. This is Donald Trump on Saturday night.
Plan to protect the integrity of our immigration system. Federal law prohibits the entry of communists and totalitarians into the United States. But my question is, what do we do with the ones that are already here that grew up in it? I think we have to pass a new law for them.
That he's talking about us. He's talking about you and me.
Using federal law in section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act, I will order my government to deny entry to all communists and all Marxists. Those who come to and join our country must love our country. We want them to love our country. We don't want them when they want to destroy our country. Welcome to America. We want to destroy your country. Thank you very much. So we're going to keep foreign Christian-hating communists, Marxists, and socialists out of America. We're keeping them out of America.
So that's dangerous speech. That goes back to, I can't remember his name, but he wrote a poem and he said, first they came for this group and I didn't say anything because I wasn't in that group. And then they came for this group and I didn't say anything because I wasn't in that group. And then they came for the Jews. I didn't say anything because I wasn't a Jew. And he makes a long list. And then he goes, then they came after me and there was nobody left to speak for me. Trump wants the vast majority of Americans, apparently, to leave. Now, there are a few things to say about this. It breaks the Constitution, First Amendment, pretty much. It's against that because everybody has the right to be a Marxist or a communist in the United States or a socialist. People have the right to hate Christianity. That's First Amendment rights. I don't necessarily agree. I'm not any of those things, but I have the right to not be a Christian. I have the right to not follow religion. That's my right in this country. He apparently wants only Christians. Of course, he's speaking to some Christian group here. And he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. It's probably the first time he's said these words. It's coming from somebody who wrote this. But this is what he's saying he's going to do if he becomes president. Is he going to throw me in jail because somebody will find out that I do a podcast that talks bad about him a lot and I sit in on AM 950, a progressive radio station sometimes? Somebody going to come knocking at my door and say, "Come with us, sir," and throw me in jail? They do that in countries, They do that in some countries. They do that in Russia. Earlier, I made a correlation between Trump and Putin. He's saying these kind of things because he thinks he can, because he's never been punished yet. He should have been handcuffed. He should have been held in prison in Florida, but he wasn't. So he still thinks he's getting let off. Another thing he said at this gathering is, every time I get an indictment against me, I take it as a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor. I get indicted for you. I get indicted for you. This is where his demented mind is right now. Because he's not been held accountable for the many, many, many crimes he's committed. Because he's the guy at the top. He's the Tony Soprano. He doesn't actually commit the crimes. He has somebody else do it. And that's why Fani Willis wants to bring him into RICO. Because RICO then goes after that guy. The guy who makes the commands is included in getting punished under RICO statutes. RICO's a relatively new thing, and until we had RICO, we couldn't get any of the mob bosses. It was RICO that made the mob bosses get busted. Finally. And that was a big part of breaking up the mafia. The mafia is not half as strong as it used to be. Or at least it's not as deadly as it used to be. But this is serious stuff. If he becomes president, I would say, yeah. I would be afraid that I might be on a list where they're going to do something to me. Certainly people who are more known for it, I've heard Tom Hartman speculate about this before. Him saying, well, are they going to come for me because I am a progressive? I'm a well-known progressive. Another thing is, how do you know if somebody's a communist or a Marxist or a socialist at the border when they're coming in? They say they fly in to New York City and they show their passport and they come into the United States. It doesn't say on your passport if you're a communist or a Democrat or a Republican or a Christian or any of the things that he's saying he's going to prevent from coming into the country. So there's no way possible he can even do this. But it's pretty scary stuff. Again, we can remember that on January 6th, he held the National Guard back. And before January 6th, he was thinking of using the United States military to take voting machines to turn over an election. Use the military. I'm the boss of them, right? What do they call me? The what did you say? What did you say I was again? Commander-in-Chief. That's a cool name. I got to do a better job of remembering that. Yeah, I'm their boss. They got to do what I say. And he's 50 times more crazy now than he was in 2016. He has seen dictators do their dictatorships, and he's learning more and more, and he's getting more brave. We'll see what happens when he's found guilty of 71, or it's going to be way more than that, indictments. But right now, even though he's been indicted twice and he's got all these serious charges against him, he doesn't seem... I imagine he probably is pretty terrified deep down, but they let him out on weekends and put him in a room with... And by the way, you could hear this crowd was not very big at all, extremely small. And it was at a hotel ballroom. And I don't know, again, maybe 200 people. And they put him in a room with 200 people who think that he's Jesus Christ, and he gets to say whatever he wants. He gets a little bit of confidence injected at these events, makes him feel a little better. And I'm sure his handlers want him to feel a little better, because I'm sure he's intolerable when he's scared and angry, and they all have to keep working for him. And there's a little chyron here that says, I don't know why, David Horowitz, I don't know what, but he apparently says that the left wants 2024 to be the last election. That's more projection. They want 2024 to be the last election. They want Donald Trump to get in there and be a dictator, and then they want to put, I don't know who next. So it's all projection. So when they say the left wants 2024 to be the last election, take it as they want it to be the last election. They don't want us to be able to vote for anybody ever again. They want us to be force-fed Donald Trump. So it's getting dangerous. They're getting more vile as they come closer to their end, as they're trapped in the corner, and they know that there's no way out. So yeah, it may keep getting even more ugly, but I think that it will come to an end. And there's many reasons you've heard me talk about as to why I'm pretty confident about that. Let's take a short break. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Tanky.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
Tune in to AM 950's newest show, Searching for Service, a show designed to help current and future Rotarians find purpose through service.
We are dedicated to sharing stories, experiences, and opportunities for those searching for purpose, value, and meaning.
But more importantly, connection through community. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. or anytime via podcasts.
It's time to stop searching and start serving.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have wood stoves that qualify for the new 30% income tax credit. A great opportunity to get an efficient stove and heat with renewable energy.
Right now, avoid supply chain delays, avoid the fall rush, avoid bad weather installation, and save money because we are now discounting the price on all chimney parts you need for installation for any of Woodland's new stoves and fireplaces.
We can help you with the stove and the chimney planning. Want to do it yourself? We will help you determine all the parts needed with our installation know-how. We have been installing wood stoves and fireplaces for over 45 years.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Save money. Take advantage of the spring and summer chimney discounts when you buy any fireplace product right now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 62, sunshine Tuesday with a high of 85, then rain and storms possible Tuesday night with a low of 67. Celebrate the arrival of summer with a great meal at an Eat Local Minnesota restaurant, perfect for any occasion. Check out the list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants at eatlocalminnesota.com.
AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil Show this week. And here's one thing that is good news. It's a hopeful thing. And I think it's the Supreme Court has been making decisions now last week and this week that are surprising and positive things. Tomorrow I'll talk, or later this week at least, I'll talk about a couple more, but this one's pretty interesting. You know, on cartoons, like when there's like a tiger in a cage and some other animal comes up and is making fun of the tiger in the cage because the tiger's in the cage, and then all of a sudden the door comes open. The cage wasn't actually locked, and the door comes open, and then the animal or the person who was making fun of the tiger all of a sudden looks, and now the tiger is free. Well, here's something that just came up. MAGA Representative Jim Jordan gets some of the worst news of his political career as the Supreme Court rules that 230 men can sue Ohio State University over the sexual abuse inflicted on them by a late university doctor. Hundreds of former student athletes have accused Dr. Richard Strauss of abusing them when he worked for the school from 1978 to 98. Strauss committed suicide in 2005. The Supreme Court has ruled that the decision of a lower court which allows the victims to seek restitution may stand. It was being blocked for a while. The sexual and while it was being blocked, that's when the tiger was in the cage and Jim Jordan was standing outside making fun of the tiger. He was calling some of the victims pawns in a political plot. So he was insulting these victims who, as young boys, were sexually assaulted by this doctor. The sexual abuse scandal is the defining chapter of Jim Jordan's life and perfectly encapsulates what a craven, evil man he is. According to the victims, university officials refused to stop Dr. Strauss despite raising numerous complaints to them. At the time, Jordan was an assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State and allegedly ignored the rampant abuse, presumably to help his career. Several victims say that he absolutely knew what was happening, but failed to do anything about it. At least 4 former wrestlers named Jim Jordan as a defendant in their lawsuit against the university. So now Jim Jordan is again going to be a defendant because the cage door just came open. The Supreme Court's decision threatens to thrust the entire sordid scandal back into the headlines at a time when Jordan is carving out a name for himself as one of President Biden's most adamant enemies and one of Donald Trump's staunchest allies. It's not hard to understand why Jim Jordan would flock to a deeply cynical fascist movement like MAGA. The man has no morals and no beliefs beyond furthering his own power. This is a horrible, vile story, and it points out how horrible of a person Jim Jordan is, and now he may have to go to court and defend himself. And it sounds like there are pretty good cases against him. There's a famous recording, actually, from a court hearing from a few years ago that we'll see if we have time to get to it. Right now, let's go to Dynamo Dave in Uptown Minneapolis. Hey, Dave.
Hey, talented Todd, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Hey, the U.S. has, now I understand, I thought it was 17 intelligence agencies. We actually have 18 intelligence agencies.
18 what? What? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, one moment. Let me fix that. 18 intelligence agencies in the U.S., 18.
Okay.
And so, for Biden to actually say, the U.S. had nothing to do with what was going on in Russia, does he really know what's going on? You know what I mean? These intelligence agencies it's a black budget, and only 20 senators know what's in that black budget, right?
Yeah.
20 senators. That's not even 50 states being represented. And as you well know, the Boston Tea Party, what was the chant during that? Taxation without representation.
Right.
We're being taxed, by the Pentagon. Only 20 senators knowing what's going on. And who knows if these intelligence agencies are even telling those senators the truth, right? Because that's what secrecy is all about.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not trying to go all conspiracy on that, but it's just, we don't know. When all that Assange stuff came out, we found out a lot of stuff that the U.S. was doing, and we never knew that. And sure, yeah, jeopardized our agents and stuff like that, and I'm not in favor of that. But it's like, man, we need to clean up our act.
Well, yeah, and that's been a long problem going on for a very long time. Daniel Ellsberg just died last week, and he's the guy who released the Pentagon Papers back in 1970 or so, and it revealed a whole bunch of things that the previous administrations were keeping secret from the American public, mostly centered on the Vietnam War and the entanglement of the United States with Vietnam even before the war. And Nixon was really pissed because Nixon was a big part of getting that war rolling. And, he was the one who was closest with Southern Vietnam under the Eisenhower administration. So he was revealed in these papers, and he was really angry about those secrets getting out. And now the government's talking about UFOs and stuff, and there are good arguments to be made as to why secrets need to be held. But yeah, it does resulting in that we don't know what the truth is at any given time about practically anything. And
it's so weird. I mean, I remember the 90s, there was news. The news broke that Army intelligence has discovered water on the moon. Army intelligence. Wait, how did our Army get on the moon? I thought, Apollo mission was the last one up there. It's how does our Army intelligence determine that there's water on the moon?
Yeah, that's I forget. Yeah, that's true. Listen.
Area 51 is supposed to be a naval base. It's a naval base. What's it doing in the desert?
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, there are a lot of things that we don't know what's going on. I used to be a UFO. I was really obsessed with UFOs at one point, and I came to the conclusion that no, they're never going to tell us. We're never going to know. Things that seems to be changing right now, but it's decades later. I didn't think I would live to see it. Say, listen, Dave, I got to let you go. We got to take a break. I keep running behind all the time here on the show. So let's take a short break and come back on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when it's time for me to get my service done, there's only one place I go, Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with their Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check out their website, RudyLutherToyota.com, for service and part specials just for Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, EatLocalMinnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, their wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
When it comes to houses, disassembly is our game, deconstruction is our fame. There are some bucks for your project. Better Futures Minnesota is your contact.
Instead of demolishing your home, let us take it apart by hand, and we can find the building materials a new home. Limited funds are allotted in 2023 for Hennepin County residents and public entities to make deconstruction even more affordable. Check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in on the Matt McNeil show. We were talking a little bit ago about Jim Jordan and how he was relieved that there was a block put on lawsuits that victims of a doctor at an Ohio school that Jim Jordan was a wrestling coach at. The athletic doctor was sexually abusing the boys, the wrestling boys. And it was for decades, starting in like 1978. He worked there from 78 to 98. So all these guys are grown men now. And 230 guys can now sue Ohio State University. It's all coming back up now. And here is a scene from a court hearing that happened years ago, a few years ago now. And Jim Jordan is glad that most people have forgotten about this incident. But this is the brother of one of the victims and whistleblowers. Well, one of the victims came out years ago and made these accusations against this doctor. And also then his brother has this story to tell. I'm going to play some sound here, Patrick. This is a sworn testimony in a courtroom.
Jim Jordan called me crying, groveling on the 4th of July, begging me to go against my brother, begging me, crying for a half hour. That's the kind of cover-ups that's going on there. Jim Jordan called me several times after that week. I had to have my lawyer call him. telling him to stop calling me. I had a teammate, George Pardos, I called and told him, call Jim Jordan and tell him to quit calling me or I'm going to beat his ass. He's throwing us under the bus, all of us. He's a coward. He's a coward. He's not a leader. He's a coward. I'm a leader. I was captain of these guys. That's why I'm here. I would never abandon my team. He abandoned us. Our head coach abandoned us. He's flipped his story. He called other people to flip their story. He called Mark Coleman to flip his story. He called his parents, 90 years old. That's the kind of person Jim Jordan is.
Why would you defend sexual abuse of young boys? He was the assistant coach. Isn't he supposed to take care of his team? Just like this guy just said. Jim Jordan is nothing but a coward. And he's being a coward now in Congress. This absolute asinine, stupid crap he's doing is the crap that a coward would do because he's afraid of Donald Trump. He's also just a greedy, power-hungry a-hole. So this kind of thing now is going to be reopened. At least four victims include Jim Jordan in their lawsuits. So Jim Jordan's probably going to have to go on a stand in a courtroom and go under oath and try and defend this behavior. Is he going to lie then? Like he was trying to get this kid to lie? And apparently he was trying to get other kids to lie as well? What is wrong with this guy? But it's a very positive thing that this is being reopened. And he might have to actually, face the paper, pay the paper. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe George Clooney. I think George Clooney was coming out with a documentary about him too. I don't know what went on with that. I thought it was going to come out actually kind of a long time ago. But anyway, Jim Jordan may be being brought to justice in the future here, like other people that need to be brought to justice. We've reached the end of the show. I'm going to be back tomorrow, and Representative Jamie Long is going to be calling in. I'm looking forward to that interview. So we'll see you back here tomorrow on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Todd Mikkelson sitting in for the Matt McNeil Show. See you tomorrow.